Welcome everybody to this World Satsanga held on the 30th of August 2023 in conjunction with Kevin Moore and the Moore Show. And as I do every month, I suggest you visit his YouTube channel, the Kevin Moore Show, to see what interesting information he's now broadcasting based upon his docu-series they call us Channelers. It's his fantastic piece of work and from different angle. So it's all good stuff. Okay, so this is the lecture, and the lecture is all about consciousness and sentience, and it's based upon a question I received from one of the World Satsanga attendees, Faith, and basically, what is consciousness and how does it relate to sentience? Well, consciousness is part of the road to sentience, and the best way to describe consciousness is to understand it as it's basically the ability for intelligence to think beyond the self, but within the self, and to understand its position within an environment. So consciousness is sort of a higher level of intelligence. It's understanding who and what we are. It's sort of awareness. So there's not much difference between consciousness and awareness, although there's different levels of awareness. I mean, awareness can be self-awareness, where we understand fully who and what we are. And we can relate to that if we become self-aware or self-realized while we're incarnating this physical form in the lower frequencies associated with the earth plane. So consciousness and awareness is pretty much the same. So in effect, consciousness can be located as well. It can be located as a function of ego and as a function of energy. So if it's just a function of energy, it's intelligent energy that understands what it is, but it hasn't got to the point of creativity, because creativity is what sentience allows us to do. So in reality, consciousness can be localized to a volume of sentience that is within a lower frequency environment, such as when we incarnate in the human form, and the lack of communicative bandwidth causes it to become, or causes the sentience to become body orientated or body assigned, and that creates over time the ego. So the consciousness can be ego based or location based, but also consciousness can be a function of how energy evolves on its own through the road to sentience, which is in the book The Origin Speaks, and is from pages basically 387 until, I'm looking at the pages now myself as it happens, 391, because it's interesting. I've been reading it myself, and it's the information in this book is amazing. When I move on to another book, I completely forget what I've done in the previous book. So rereading the book sometimes is absolutely amazing for me to see the information that comes through. But in essence, it's consciousness is the ability for intelligence to associate itself with itself and understand itself. So it's, in essence, it's the ability to make a decision necessary to achieve the previous level of creation, not creation, of evolution. Consciousness is enough to make the decisive ability of individual sacrifice for a greater good possible. So basically, if we as sentient entities use our consciousness, we can use that consciousness to make decisions that would perpetuate our existence or not. I mean, this is sort of the, do we save somebody else or a group of other individuals rather than ourselves? Because if we try to save ourselves, maybe hundreds of other people die. But if we help them, they survive and we don't. So it's is the needs of the one, does the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many? And that's part of a consciousness thought process. So in essence, consciousness is understanding who and what we are, really. It's not a function on its own. It's not a state on its own. Although we can say when we do traversing the frequencies, for example, say move our consciousness out of the body into different levels associated with the multiverse, what we're actually doing is moving our sentience, because to be able to move into different levels of the multiverse. And in fact, when yogis do samadhi, they do a similar thing, but they tend to be limited to the frequencies that are close to the earth, is that they move their sentience. So it's a bit like moving the whole of the volume of what you are out of the body and projecting it or using it as a means of focusing on a different location within the multiversal environment. So when one evolves as a function of what one experiences and learns within an environment and what one creates within the environment. So sentience is significantly more than consciousness. Consciousness is a function of sentience. It's part of understanding who, what we are. But sentience is a function of understanding who, what we are, understanding our environment, understanding how to manipulate that environment, understanding what we've created as a function of that manipulation, and understanding what that creation does to benefit us, and whether we need to uncreate it and therefore create something else to benefit us further. So it's allowing it. So it's really it's sentience is that which allows us to experiment with who, what we are, and the environment within which we are. So that's that perspective. It's really a case of consciousness is understanding who we are, but sentience is using consciousness and the ability to manipulate one's environment to create evolution. So without having sentience, you can't really evolve further. But although an energy can move from the point in which it develops consciousness through to sentience, and that's an evolutionary step. But it can stay where it is. It can reach a point where it doesn't progress any further. So it can stall in that evolutionary progression. So if this, for instance, if we meditate, when we move our consciousness, it's moving our awareness. It's like looking through a telescope. It's like observing something from afar, like looking at it through a video telephone, for example, using your mobile phone, using one of the video functions such as Skype or Botim or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, all these different things. This is what consciousness is. When we're using consciousness to experience something, you could classify it as remote viewing if you want to. You're seeing it from a distance. In that instance, the sentience remains still in its primary location, which is at this point is body associated, so it's in the body still. So when we move our sentience out of the body, we're not seeing things from a distance, like seeing things through a telescope or seeing things through binoculars. We are actually moving ourselves into that location. So it's think of it like teleportation. If we're looking at something to a telescope, we are seeing, for instance, a mountain or a side of a mountain or houses or some trees, but we are still located where we are. If we teleport ourselves, we move ourselves to the location that we were previously seeing through the telescope or the binoculars. And that is a good example of what sentience is, or moving sentience is. It's moving ourselves into that location, whereas consciousness is just seeing it. And so when we meditate and we're moving our consciousness, we're actually viewing something from afar. But when we move our sentience, we're actually moving ourselves into that environment that we previously observed from afar. So the evolutionary progression from consciousness to sentience is being aware of where we are, being aware of what is distance from us, and evolving to the point where we can move ourselves from where we were to where we want to be. So that is basically the difference between consciousness, which is basically awareness, and sentience. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture, and let's move on to the questions and answers, which on this month are going to be pre-recorded as well, because we are going to have a live meditation. And the live meditation is going to be all about connecting us together. It's an old meditation I've done before, where we connect ourselves together through the heart chakra. But I want to do it again with all the attendees of the World Satsanga, because I feel it's going to be very beneficial. And it's one that people can use and hopefully use to connect with other groups of people if they give their permission to connect in this way. So welcome to the questions and answers. And the questions this time have been submitted by one of the World Satsanga attendees. And it's pre-recorded this month, of course, because we're going to have a live meditation instead rather than live questions and answers. So I thank all who has sent in these questions for me. And there's a whole bunch of questions here. I think there's about 25, so we'll see how far we can get. Okay, so first one. For those individuals too skeptical about channeling, in brackets to read books by Dolores Cannon, yourself or other channelers, what are the top 12 books or texts that can help the average individual to increase their awareness of the greater reality? I don't know if I can give 12, but I'll certainly give a few. There's a number of different books which I think are good. Books by Neil Walsh are quite low key, I think. They're quite basics for people to understand. There's also books by Eckhart Tolle, who was also very good, although he's from diametrically opposite in terms of what he's understanding and how he's trying to teach people. There's a book called The Only Planet of Choice by Phyllis Schlemmer and Mary Bennis, which is a really good book on how a group of individuals got together around a channel who was getting information about the civilizations associated with the physical universe. That's pretty good. There's also the Paramahansa Yogananda books, which are good. Rudolf Steiner, which is good. And Roy Eugene Davis is also pretty good. I think he's quite good, but again, he's associated with Paramahansa Yogananda, who, although you could argue he's looking at it from a religious-based context, there's a lot of information there which is based upon Hindu historical information, which is also quite scientific as well. So that's one of the things I would look for. And there's also go onto the Ozark Mountain Publishing website, www.ozarkmt.com, and that website will give you lots of books and authors about the greater reality. So it's very, 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 very good. It's a good depository of information. Okay. Next question. What are the top 12 interviews or talks accessible online that have the ability to increase the viewer's awareness of greater reality? Again, I don't know if I can go beyond the lectures that some of the Self-Realization Fellowship give. Again, it's associated with the Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda. Look on YouTube for Kevin Moore. He's got quite a lot of good stuff. The Kevin Moore Show on YouTube. And also you can look at, again, the Ozark Mountain Publishing. We've got some lectures there that are broadcast on YouTube. So really, if you can go back onto the Ozark Mountain Publishing website, look at the authors, and then go onto YouTube, you'll probably find that they've done lectures which can be accessed on YouTube. So you can do the same thing by looking on Google as well. Okay, next question. Question 3. I understand the aspect in soul, by the way, for those who don't know, the small aspect of sentience from our true energetic self, or higher self, oversoul, or Godhead. All those words mean the same thing. Uses mRNA to communicate with the human body. Do mRNA vaccines, drugs interfere with the aspect's communication temporarily or permanently? If they mess with it, it would certainly stop the energetic communication in certain ways. It's rewriting the program that allows the soul to, well, should I say, not so much the soul, the energy templates associated with the body to communicate with the body and create the body and create this function. So it could help in some way, but it would isolate the body to the physical, rather than allowing it to communicate on the spiritual as well. So when we do have these genetic, shall we say, manipulations, we start to affect how connected we could become. This doesn't mean it would isolate the soul in the body. The soul is always capable of leaving the body, but it does reduce the communicative ability, because the way in which the body works is a function of RNA telling the DNA what to do, and then the checksum goes back via the RNA to the soul via the energy templates to say this is what's got to happen. So part of question 4 is, do mRNA drugs cause any issues in the energetic for the aspect or test? If yes, how do we reverse such problems? Once you've messed with DNA and RNA, it's difficult to reverse it, basically, unless you are using a very competent healer. Interestingly enough, the Atlanteans manipulated their own bodies, their own genome, quite regularly for status, and they in turn became disassociated with whom what they were, and that caused corruption. So it's very difficult. Number 5, if somebody has taken an mRNA drug, can the harms be reversed through alternative medicine, energy healing and nutrition? Basically, energy healing is the way forward, really, and it's got to be a competent individual who understands how to reprogram DNA and the way in which the RNA communicates to the DNA to tell the DNA what to do to create, to turn a neutral stem cell into like a kidney cell, for example. My concern is that these drugs could create cancers rather than try to solve that problem of cancer. Okay. Next question is about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi causes harm to the body. Is it possible for a psychic shield to prevent or reduce the harmful effects of such waves? Yes, you can use your psychic shield to repel the waves, or to make you basically leaky. So, in effect, rather than it be absorbed by you, it passes through you. You can ask the shield to do that for you. In fact, that's one of the things we asked the shield to do in the COVID period, is to make us, for want of a better word, not so much invisible, but higher frequency, so that the virus passes through us rather than sticks to us. And it's the same way with Wi-Fi waves. I mean, really, the human body is actually very tolerant of these things. It's very tolerant of a lot of airborne transmissions, apart from microwaves, because microwaves can cook us. but stay away from as much as you can do. Certainly microwaves with mobile phones. I mean, if you're going to use your mobile phone, then you're better off using things like speakerphone functionality to make sure that the actual transmission part of the transmission part of the phone is away from your head. So yeah, I mean, you can use the psychic shield if you wanted to. In the situation where one cannot switch off Wi-Fi in the facility, what simple, cheap options are available to protect the body and mind from such harm? Some suggest particular crystals or written words near the Wi-Fi hub. The best physical way is cover yourself in aluminium foil, and there are individuals who do that. They have aluminium foil inside their coats and on top of their heads, underneath woolly hats or other hats. That's one of the best ways of doing it. You can program a crystal, specifically pure white quartz crystals can be programmed into basically disturbing the harmonious transmission of the frequency, so it becomes disharmonious and therefore breaks up. So you can do that, but that's fine for you. But if you don't want to use your Wi-Fi, but if you want to use your Wi-Fi, or somebody else wants to use Wi-Fi, they'll find it difficult to connect. Perhaps that's the point. So does Wi-Fi cause barriers to one traversing the frequencies? No, because you're moving beyond those frequencies. The effectiveness of thinking or of affirmations for the purpose of manifestation. I'm wondering if the constant frequencies in the air interfere in some way. If we don't tune into them, then they won't affect us. If we do tune into them, they would do. So if we're thinking and we're meditating, then in effect we are moving ourselves beyond the physical, certainly beyond the gross physical, but certainly beyond the physical and the frequencies that some of these devices use. And so therefore, from our perspective, we move beyond them. Yeah, we move ourselves into a frequency well above any of the frequencies that these things use to communicate on. So from that perspective, it won't affect us, won't affect our effectiveness of our ability to create a functioning, meaningful and robust and functional affirmation. Okay. Next question. This is question 9. The aqua energizer produces water with up to 3 times higher life force energy than water from holy water or healing water sources, i.e. 35,000 and 95,000. And there's a website here, www.thewellnessenterprise.com, certified monosign structured monosign water monosign device. Does drinking structured water from this device provide a fast track to increase one's frequency? Well, water can be used as a medium for homeopathics, and you can program water to be a homeopathic in its own right. So it will help, without doubt. But in essence, the way to raise one's frequencies even further is to open one's chakras. And so one can access the chakra opening exercises on my website. So go to www.beyondthesource.org, look for the press pack, and then scroll down. You'll see the chakra opening exercises PDF and the chakra opening exercises audio file as well. It's a free download. So, and it's very similar to what we do for the traversing of frequencies and the psychic shield, but it's not produced in that professional way. But it's still good enough, more than good enough, to be able to teach people to open their chakras more than they are normally, and raise their frequencies. You can raise yourself to the 7th frequency rather than hanging around the first 3 frequencies, which are gross physical. Number 10, are there ways of structuring water, e.g. simple vortex coils, add MCT oil and blend for 20 seconds, leave it out in the sun, or leave it out in a full moon as well? Yes, you can structure water in these different ways, but with things like vortex coils, you need to associate yourself with them and create a desire for what the coils are going to do, because basically they're like crystals. They're an amplifier of our thoughts, behaviors, and actions, and therefore our desires, really. So we can do. Does drinking water structured in this way materially advance one's increase in vibration or its immediate health benefits? It does help us. As you just said, we can also program water to be homeopathic. So it will benefit us both physically. But in terms of vibration, it will help us, but it won't help us from the ability to project our sentience into the other levels of the multiverse that way. But it will be beneficial. It's more of a physical health thing from that perspective. But the best way, without doubt, is to raise one's vibration by using the chakra opening exercises, or just meditate. So, question 11: if question 10 does advance one's increase in vibration, which of those methods provides the optimum vibration increase? My feeling is that the vortex coils or using crystals will be the best way to use that particular mode of increasing one's frequency. But it won't increase your frequency dramatically. It'll make you feel better. It'll increase your well-being, but it won't increase your frequencies from the perspective of allowing you to easily do astral traveling, those sorts of things. That still requires practice and still requires determination and dedication, and of course lots of meditation. Okay, number 12. In terms of diet, what changes lead to the greatest increase in one's vibration? Please consider these in your answer. Drinking water structured using methods stated in question 10. Drinking water from the aqua energizer, see question 9. Eating particular high vibration foods such as wheatgrass, blueberries, spirulina, etc. Wheat is not a high vibration food. Wheat slows us down. And the Chinese make a point of this and saying, why do we have wheat? It just slows us down. So other things, basically, root vegetables, I would suggest, rather than any of the above, are a really good way of getting one's one a high vibration diet. Root vegetables, don't cook them. If you're going to skin them, blend them and turn that into soup, because the skin has lots and lots of minerals, is really beneficial to us and high vibration. If we cook vegetables or boil them, we lose energy. So if you're going to cook them very lightly, so that you just remove some of the rawness from them, but then drink the water that you could boil them in, because that's really good for you. So eating raw vegetables and raw fruit, of course, is the best way of eating a high vibration diet. So question 13, what are the top 12 foods one should include in their diet to increase one's frequency? All root vegetables, all herbs you can get, and all fruits as well. Anything that is raw and is cleaned properly is going to increase your vibration without doubt as a diet. And again, if you're going to skin them, obviously things like orange rind or zest of orange or zest of lemon or zest of lime, you can just zest those up and create like a lemonade out of them, or an orangeade or a limeade out of them as well. That's also useful and very good for you. But again, if you're going to remove the skin, then blend it and have it as a smoothie or a drink of some sort. Okay. 14, the human body is harmed by toxins and preservatives in food. Low-income families struggle to afford fresh high vibration foods. They may have no option but to purchase cheap, processed or ultra-processed low vibration food. If eating low vibration foods, what is the optimal way to increase the vibration of such foods, such as showing the food gratitude whilst others advise on giving the food a blessing with white light? There is no option from my perspective. If you eat these ultra-processed foods, then you're going to reduce your vibrations. There's no antidote. Don't eat it. There's no reason why low-income families can't go to places, supermarkets like Asda or Sainsbury's or Morrison's or Walmart, Waitrose, all these different places, and get the foods that are going slightly out of date. There's nothing wrong with slightly out of date food. It's just that it's a legal thing these days to make sure that you get the best produce. But we used to eat everything before we had supermarkets, no matter how old it was, as long as it hadn't gone off. And that's the thing. Go find vegetables. If you're struggling with your income, find vegetables that are being put in the cheap bin or the cheap shelf, and eat that rather than eating pre-processed, ultra-processed foods, because it'll lower your vibration and you will definitely put weight on, and you'll get lots of cholesterol in your blood, and it will affect your heart and your blood pressure, definitely. Okay, so question 15, transcendental meditation enables the body to self-heal significantly. Does one get the same healing benefits while traversing the frequencies, or simply meditating with all 7 chakras open? Yes, anything that's where you're associating yourself with higher frequencies, healing basically, because you're moving away from the frequencies that things like diseases and viruses and bacteria exist on. So you're moving yourself out of there. If you think where we are now, we are, although you wouldn't think so, we are significantly higher frequency than we were in the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, where we used to get illnesses really quickly. And so, in essence, we died very, very young. But now we don't die so young because we're naturally a higher frequency. By that, we're not barbaric in our thoughts, behavior, and actions. So any way in which we can increase our frequencies, like eating, raw root vegetables, for example, or grow our own vegetables. I mean, low-income families should be growing their own vegetables without doubt in their gardens. In window boxes, in spare rooms, they can create their own food. So that's another way to move forward. If you've got a low income, is grow your own food and get the seeds and grow your own vegetables, definitely. So that'll be high frequency. So yeah, any meditation, of course, is going to give you a higher frequential state, not just energetically, but physically as well. 16, does fasting make it easier for the aspect to communicate with the human body? If yes, what is the minimum number of hours required for there to be a material increase in communication? Fasting basically teaches or makes the body remember that it can get energy from the universe. Prana, for example, vitamin D from the sun. So what that does is if we start to fast, and a 48-hour fast once a week is optimal, really. Be careful if you've got things like pernicious anemia or B12 issues, because then it's difficult, because B12 doesn't stay in the body at all. The body doesn't store it. So be careful then. Maybe stick to 24-hour fasts, evening to evening, rather than evening on Sunday to evening on a Tuesday, which is 48 hours. But it teaches the body, or reminds the body, that it can get energy from the chakras, and that its energy templates are energized and fed from the energy that the chakras have, and give energy to the various different energy templates that they're associated with. So yes, fasting is very good. 17, I note that the more frequent one traverses the frequency, the better communication will become. That said, those practicing transcendental meditation are told to leave at least 40 minutes after consuming food before meditating. So is there any benefit to fasting for a period of time before traversing the frequencies? Yeah, I think there is, actually. I mean, I don't eat at all before doing any of my work. Probably several hours. I would suggest 2 hours is good before doing any meditation, because your body is working overtime digesting the food, and really what you want to do is to have the body in a neutral tick over state when you're meditating. So it's best to, I think, leave 2 hours is a better and a more beneficial time period before meditation, once you've eaten. And that includes traversing the frequencies or any other transcendental meditation techniques. Okay, number 18. While traversing the frequencies, is there any benefit to listening to binaural beats or music of a certain frequency? No, it'll only bring you back to earth, really. It'll only make you focus on being on the earth plane. So really what you want is silence, absolute silence, if you can do. Now, a good yogi or a good meditation practitioner will be able to meditate on a plane and disassociate, or a busy railway station, and disassociate themselves totally, so that any noise around us is totally ignored, and therefore doesn't affect their way in which we can meditate or leave the body. But whilst people are learning how to do it, it's best to be in a completely silent environment. Okay, question 19. When undertaking transcendental meditation, what is the best mantra to use to increase the body's effectiveness in self-healing, to increase the ease of communication with the aspects, to have the optimum increase in world consciousness, such as the Maharishi effect? Just create one. Increase the body's effectiveness in self-healing. You could use, for example, my body is vibrant, my body is high frequency, my body is free of disease, my body is omnipotent. And repeat those words for self-healing. Increase the communication of the aspect. I am one with my higher self. My higher self is one with me. I am my higher self. You could do the same thing for communicating with the source. I'm one with the source is one with me. I am the source. And the optimum increase in world consciousness, you could do the same thing. I'm one with the source is one with me, I'm the source. Or we could say, I am one with the world is one with me, I am the world, and do the same thing. Any of those would work for that particular desire. Okay. Question 20. We can measure the vibration of the human body, which is on average about 70 hertz. How many hertz frequency is the body at the point where they transcend to the next dimension? What I'm trying to establish is there a way to measure the body's frequency or level of consciousness in some way that gives individuals practical guidance on how far they have to progress before they can escape the current dimension? It's actually the first three frequencies. But we all exist in the first four dimensions. So that going into the 13th frequency takes us into the next dimension. So, okay, I can understand that question. So it gives practical guidance on how far they've progressed before they can escape the current dimension where forces are trying to control humanity. Having this guidance may help to keep some individuals motivated to continue to progress their work to ascension. One of the ways in which you can tell is how energy moves up and down the spine. There's something called the Sushumna, which is like the area where the energies move up and down the spine and feed the plexuses that are allowing the energies to move co-jointly from around the energy templates from the chakras, basically. So as you're breathing in, you're meditating, visualize energy coming in through the third eye, diagonally across the base of the skull, down the center of the spine to the coccyx. And when you're breathing out again, visualize or concentrate energy going from the coccyx up the center of the spine. This is where the Sushumna is. Up to the base of the skull, diagonally across to the third eye and out again. And just concentrate on that. And eventually you'll start to feel the energy going from the third eye to the base of the skull, down the spine to the coccyx and then back up again. Okay. And then so you'll start to feel that. When you're breathing, this is a pranayama. This is a movement of energy in and out of the body, up and down the spine. And when you start to feel that energy, that's one of the milestones. Then eventually you'll be able to feel the energy with greater intensity. That's another milestone. And then eventually you'll feel your body fizzing. That's another milestone. And then you'll start to be more conscious or aware of what's around you outside of your body in a different way than you do looking at it with your eyes, hearing with your ears, smelling with your nose and tasting with your mouth, or feeling with your fingers. You might even get your body starting to tingle, your hands tingling, temperature changes in the body, pressure around the area of the third eye, which is in between the two eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose in the center of the forehead, or even pressure around the periphery of your skull. You might even start to get visualizations. So rather than having a frequency, it's how your body responds as a function of these breathing exercises and focusing on the energy coming in through the third eye, down to the base of the skull, down the spine to the coccyx and back again in reverse as you breathe out. That's the best way. And that's the best way to help assist your ascension whilst in this physical form, in this incarnation. Okay, next question. I have noted intelligent, rational individuals become extremely emotional and proclaim strange views about particular topics or strokes individuals. Such views align with those who wish to prevent humanity's ascension, which makes me beg the question, is the UK or US governments using subliminal messages on television to brainwash viewers? If yes, what are the best examples that one could analyze to raise the public awareness of this? Basically, there are individuals who say words that resonate with us because they are using words like freedom, words like group or collectiveness or togetherness, and then inserting lots of other nonsense or low frequency thoughts, behaviors, and actions. Because when we're here, we are individualized and we're basically alone energetically, although we're not in reality, but we forget who we are because of the low frequencies, and therefore our communicative bandwidth reduces. But our natural state of existence is being in communion. So when we hear these words, we can either go the high frequency way if people are helping us to understand the greater reality, or we can be coerced into going to another direction, and go down the route of being commanded and controlled by somebody who's using those words, makes us feel that we're in communion with like-minded people, but actually we're being fed the wrong information and we're getting the wrong understanding. We're being fed misinformation. So we have to look at, and there's been plenty of recently, there's been plenty of leaders, world leaders, who are doing this, and they're creating mayhem. They're creating a lack of self-governance, and therefore a lack of country-based governments, lack of world governance in the process of it. So they're doing it to actually, there's a positive side, to help us understand who and what we are, and therefore move away from them. So they're giving us a choice. You can either be controlled with a view to being persuaded that you're entering into communion, entering into friendship with those who are like you, or you can enter into communion with those who are working on themselves to become a higher frequency and therefore ascend. So it's actually giving us a choice in real terms. So it's part of the yin and the yang, and the idea is to choose whatever yin and yang for you represents. But if yin expresses low frequency thoughts, behaviors, and actions, but you feel that you're in communion, well, you're getting communion, but you're going the wrong direction. But if the yang is entering into communion by having the same thoughts, behaviors, and actions of those who are looking after themselves, they're behaving themselves, they're behaving in a law-abiding way, they're being of service to others, then that's the choice to make. Okay, question 22. What are the optimal methods to reverse such programming? For example, the use of powerful words, playing specific frequencies while they sleep. Well, basically, these people tend to be, shall we say, not very evolved in comparison to those that are evolved. So it's difficult for them to be turned. Once they've been turned in one direction, it's difficult to turn them back. Moving down the frequencies is significantly easier than going up the frequencies. We can slip down a hill very quickly, but climbing up a hill is very difficult. And so what I would say is all you can do is to lead by example and hope that they see that there is a better way of thinking, behaving, and acting based upon being more spiritual, being more self-governing, than thinking that freedom is being allowed to do anything you want to. Freedom is understanding who and what you are and working in service to others, and evolving and increasing your frequency, and then starting to increase and regain your communicative bandwidth and understand who and what you are. That's true freedom, not being able to do whatever you want to by going to a shop and shoplift, for example, or hitting somebody in the street because you feel like it, and knowing the police aren't going to arrest you. That's completely wrong. Freedom is understanding who, what you are, and being in a state of personal behavior. Okay. 23. Who added the telomere caps to DNA, which reduced the lifespan of the human vehicle around 200,000 years ago? What was the rationale for this? Basically, the lifespan reduced as a function of our dropping down the frequencies around the Atlantean age, which was longer than 200,000 years ago. It's something we've done to ourselves, really. It's something that we, in effect, can change by becoming higher frequency. So we can change DNA, but by becoming higher frequency. By becoming higher frequency, the gross physical becomes less gross physical and becomes more energetic or spiritual, rather than being just low frequency energy that's quite static. So it's something we've created ourselves by becoming intoxicated with these sensations and the status of possibilities, i.e. karma, associated with being body associated, and low frequency and therefore physical universe associated. So is it possible to reverse these telomere caps by thought forms. Basically, meditating and opening the chakras will create your body to be a high frequency and therefore lighter, and therefore it does perpetuate its existence. And we know this because yogis, there's evidence of yogis living, hundreds of years by slowing down their bodily functions whilst still being able to interact with others around them. So there's evidence this happens, and those who are capable of thinking, behaving, and acting in higher frequency ways will naturally extend their life expectation through meditating or through opening the chakras, because they're high frequency. The gross physical is affected by frequency, and if you're a low frequency, your body will live for a short period of time. If you're a higher frequency, your body will last as long as you want it to, really. But you have to know you can, rather than believe it, because knowing is experiential evidence, whereas belief is just understanding that what somebody's told you is true and not experiencing it yourself. Well, that's the end of the questions. And thank you very much for those questions. They're really good searching questions. I don't think I've answered them in the way that you thought I would answer them, but I've given the answers as I felt they should be answered, which is more importantly. Let's move on to the live meditation. Well, welcome everybody to the World Satsanga held on the 30th of August 2023. And this is a different Satsanga, a different live Satsanga to what we had normally, because normally it's the questions and answers session, which is rapid fire series of questions and rapid fire answers by myself. But this particular session, we're going to concentrate on doing a meditation. So the questions were submitted by Paul some weeks ago, actually nearly a month ago. So I've answered those questions already. They're already recorded. They're in the the file that will be uploaded to you later. But this is just a meditation, because that was what was requested by people. And what we're going to do in this particular meditation is do one that I've done only once before, and probably 2 or 3 years ago, actually. I might be wrong, but it feels like 2 or 3 years ago. And it's about entering into communion with each other in this particular group by connecting the heart chakra, the front heart chakra, together. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with and connect our heart chakras together as well. Okay. And that will allow us to enter into communion and feel the communion between us all. And there's a synergetic function associated with being in communion with a common purpose of just entering into beingness with each other. And that means that the number of individuals who are in communion is a multiplication factor. So if there's 12 of us, it's like 12 times 12. So the power of us meditating on something whilst in communion is basically multiplied by the number of participants. So and I like to use the word sometimes that an author, a science fiction author called Julian May, created, called metaconcert. And it's nothing to do with spiritualism. That was a science fiction term, but it's a really good way of describing the synergy that we have when we work together collectively and connectedly, so to speak. Okay, so we've got all of the 40 odd minutes that we've got on Zoom to do this. So we'll enjoy this. It'll be quite a deep meditation. And I think we should start, basically. Anybody who arrives late, I'll try and pull them in, but I think that those who are here now are going to be the participants. And I'm starting to feel that anybody else who comes in late, we have to ignore, because it will start to upset the existing synergy that we've got with the people who are already here. Okay, so if we just close our eyes gently and we sit straight with our back straight. If you've got a straight backed chair that you're in, then sort of make your back sort of right angles to the base of the chair and the back of the chair. Feet flat on the ground. Hands with your palms placed upwards, resting on the upper thighs where the thighs meet the lower body. And your closed eye vision gently focused on the origin of the spiritual or third eye, which is in between the two eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose. Good. So what I want you to just do is just relax, focus on the origin of the spiritual or third eye. Detach yourself from any of the things that were attracting your attention before you entered into this meditation. Right now, it doesn't matter. All that matters is being here together with everybody in this communion-based meditation. Good. All the mind chatter slows down. All we've got is contentment and peace. And just nothingness. The Japanese have a name for this. They call it mushin, which is empty mind. They also call it beginner's mind for those who are starting upon a journey of being taught something or other. Okay, so those of you who do know, I apologize for explaining the function of the chakras. Those who don't know, it's probably essential. But the chakras operate as a receiver of energy on a particular frequency. And the 7 levels that the human body uses to create the physical form that we see and know and relate to in the gross physical aspect of the physical universe. And there's 4 more that are classified as spiritual physical. The Hindus agree with the terminology for the gross physical. They call the spiritual physical the astral realms. And then the next 3, which we don't worry about because they're like a step down function to allow the soul to come down from higher frequencies and enter into the body. We call the human body in this instance. It can be other incarnate bodies in different locations around the physical universe and different frequencies. But they call it the causal, or I call it the energetic, because it's purely energy. Nothing to do with, in essence, the construct that we call the human body. It's a function of allowing the soul to enter it. And each of these chakras is associated with an energy template that's on one of these frequencies. So the root chakra is associated with the etheric body. The sacral chakra is associated with the mental body, etc., up to the 7th, which is associated with the Catharic template. And so each of the chakras attracts and pulls in energy at a certain frequency. And each of the chakras is associated with one of the energy templates. And that energy template is particularly prominent on the frequency that they are supposed to be on. And of course, they are particularly represented by the chakras that they are working with as well, because they're working on the same frequency. So although we have images that show all the chakras being shown at once, we can only ever see all the chakras at once when we open all of our chakras at once, because then we can see across all of the frequencies. When we go to one of the frequency levels, we can only see the chakra on that level, but we might see in like a ghostly image the other chakras, and maybe the other energy templates that those chakras are associated with, but we don't see them in any clarity because we're not on the same frequency level. Now, when we enter into any dialogue with anybody else energetically, depending upon the level of interaction. It can either be the heart chakra, which is the main communicative medium in this instance. It's not just a receiver of energy, so it can also be used as a communicative medium, or it can be all the chakras. It depends upon our relationship. It could be a relationship with ourselves in previous incarnations, or it could be relationships with a particularly prominent individual in our lives, such as a partner, a wife, a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, close friend, family relative, sibling, father, mother, etc. In which case, we have connections at all chakras. But for strangers or people who aren't part of our immediate sphere of influence, the connection for communion can be achieved by connecting our heart chakras together. So this is what we're going to do. But to achieve this, we need to create something we can understand. It's being logical. Now, logic is not something which normally exists within the multiversal environment and above, either in the environment created by our source, our creator, our God, or that which is beyond it, the origin, what the Hindus call the absolute, or all there is. But it's good for us in our low frequency to have something logical, because we exist in a linear function because of the low frequency. We can't experience everything concurrently whilst in these low frequencies. So the way to do this is to understand that I would be the hub in a wheel. Think of an old cart wheel made of wood with wooden spokes. And each of you will be at the end of one of the spokes. So you form the rim of the wheel. What I want you to do now is use your intention. You don't need to say anything, just say, or just think, or just visualize that you're sending energy from your heart chakra. You can use the front heart chakra into my front heart chakra. So in effect, every one of you will be facing me. Now, I know that if you looked at it logically, you'd see that some of you would be looking at the side of me or the back of me. But in reality, if you look at me and connect with my heart chakra, it appears to be that you're facing me and everybody else would be some part of the spokes further on around the wheel. Okay. So don't worry about your position. Just think of yourself as facing me, and just ask your heart chakra to broadcast energy to my front heart chakra. Don't worry about the rear heart chakras. Just work on the front heart chakra. And again, each of you just consider that you're all facing me. In essence, there would be 8 versions of me facing each of you separately. That's the number of the people in this meditation, with me in the middle. So that's the number of spokes. So just ask your heart chakra, your front heart chakra, to send energy towards me. One of the ways in which chakras pull energy in is that they rotate clockwise, as we see them from our eyes looking out of our body. But we can ask them to rotate anti-clockwise as well. That pushes energy out. So if you're wondering about how to do it, rather than just using your intention to do it, ask your heart chakra to rotate anti-clockwise, and that energy from that chakra to come across to me and enter into my heart chakra. And that creates the connection. Don't doubt yourself that you're doing it. Just know that you're doing it. Know that you're broadcasting energy. and that the energy from your heart chakra is moving across the distance from wherever you are and entering into my front heart chakra. And that in essence, we're all appearing to be in the same room, equally spaced around me, like 8 spokes on a cartwheel, with me being the hub. So in essence, everybody is connected to everybody else in this wheel through me being in the hub. Nobody is not connected. All connections are basically direct through the hub. When you feel that you've made this connection, you feel that you are connected with me on the heart chakra level, then just relax and allow yourself to feel the difference within yourself in comparison to how you felt before this meditation. Do you feel more connected? Do you feel greater than the sum of yourself? Do you feel like 8 times 8 people, 64 people? Do you feel that you're in all the places at once where all these different people are currently sitting down and connecting to each other via our heart chakras? Do you feel like you're more than yourself? This is the synergetic effect. You should feel expansive. You should feel as if you are present in all locations associated with the participants in this meditation. You're no longer a spoke in this wheel, this cartwheel, connected to the center, the hub, through my heart chakra. You are the wheel. You are all of the participants, including me, at once. There's no me, there's no you, there's just us. And we are one, with the power of the multiple of the participants, the power of 64. Eight of us, all together. Feel the state of beingness that you are now, significantly larger, more expansive, more capable, more present than you were before this meditation. Feel the knowingness associated with the other participants. You are no longer constrained by your own experience in this particular incarnation. You also have the memories and the experience and the subsequent evolutionary content associated with all of the participants in this meditation. Every one of you is everyone else, collectively. All of us in communion as one. There is no individuality. There is only oneness. There is only beingness. Allow your mind to wander. Not mind chatter. It's not thinking. It's allowing your sentience to move from your current position, your current body, enter into any aspect of knowledge associated with any of the participants. Don't doubt that you are not receiving it. Just accept the first thing that comes into your mind as it comes in, as being a bona fide memory or experience that one of the other participants has had. And as you experience it, it becomes your experience, because it is your experience, because you are one. We are all one. There is no individuality. The beauty of this meditation is that it's not specific to this event space, this reality, this moment in our existence. Within the wheel, there are more spokes, lots more spokes. Those are the other individuals who are participating by downloading the Satsanga and replaying this meditation. So you may feel that you are bigger than the sum of those who are participating via this link, because there are others participating via the download as well. So not only is there 8 times 8, giving 64, but there's multiple others creating a larger square of the number, larger multiplication factor. Could be 10 times 10, it could be 25 times 25, could be 100 times 100, could be thousands times 1,000. So if your feeling is that you are significantly bigger than the multiplication of the sum of the individuals in this particular meditation, it's because you're also feeling those others who do this meditation at different points in their existence, not specifically in this particular now, but in other aspects of the now that leads to this now. The beauty of doing this and sending the recording and making it valuable to the public, the metaphysical or spiritual public, is that we all enter into communion. There could be thousands of us, all in this particular now, this particular event space. The moment we used our intention to enter into this focus of our sentience, there was already many more in the meditation participating at different points in their existence and becoming in communion in this existence, this nowness. Every nowness becomes now. There's no separation. It's only our frequency that separates us. Notice how you feel that you are significantly bigger than what you are as an individual person. Your level of knowingness feels significantly more. Your sentience feels significantly larger. You feel more evolved. Remember that you're not individuals, we're all one. There's only us. And the synergetic effect of us collectively together and everybody else who's playing this recording and joining in. So the feeling of expansion might feel very pronounced at times. The feeling of omnipresence may feel pronounced at times. The feeling of omniscience may feel pronounced at times. Because we're all connected together through our heart chakras as one. Let's start to refocus on ourselves as individuals rather than collectively. Draw your attention back to your body, in the room that you're in the house that you're in, the location that your house is in, the suburb or the city, or the country, the landmass or continent, and of course the planet. And we see or perceive or know this connection between our heart chakras through me as the hub in the center of the wheel is there connecting us all together. And so use your intention to no longer connect, no longer broadcast or project energy to my heart chakra. If you want to, you can stop the anti-clockwise rotation and rotate it clockwise, and that will withdraw your heart chakra energy back into your heart chakra, away from me, so that we all become individual spokes that are not joined at the hub. If you feel a little bit woozy, a little bit lightheaded, that's okay. It's because you've been connected to lots of energy as a high frequency energy concurrently, lots of evolution we've all accrued, along with the evolution of the other aspects or souls that are projected from our true energetic selves, our higher selves, God, head or oversoul. All those words mean the same thing, that larger part of us which remains in the energetic aspect of the multiverse. Slowly come back into your room. Slowly open your eyes. And although you're individualized again, you can still feel that connection, can't you? You can still feel that feeling of being one with all the participants that are not only in this meeting now, but also those who connected through replaying the recording, the YouTube recording, at whatever point in their own existence, because everything comes into this now. Everything is now in this nowness. I'm getting the feeling that I need to do a lecture on how to understand now and our ability to connect with everything now versus how we do things from a linear perspective. So I think I shall announce that that's what I'll do for the September Satsanga, is do a lecture on how to understand now versus the collective now, how to detach from linearity and how to understand it. Well, thank you everybody for participating. It was really powerful, actually. I could feel the energy, not just from this group, but from all those others who are participating in whatever event space they've collectively joined into and then come back to this one. It's always a delight to feel that. And you really do feel absolutely omnipresent, omniscient, and expansive. And so I think we'll leave it at that and dial off now, whilst we've still got time to say goodbye. And namaste to you all before Zoom knocks us off unceremoniously, which has happened in the past. And thank you to everybody. It's been a wonderful session, and I'm looking forward to returning back to the standard cadence of questions and answers next time. Although, if you want to do a meditation like this on a semi-regular basis, like every third or every fourth month, we can do it, or so once a quarter we can do it. So no problem. I quite enjoy it. Thank you, everybody. Namaste to you all, and much love to you all, and looking forward to September.